Neil, first of all, how's recruitment going for the squad so far?
Yeah, recruitment's been really positive. I think our new model allows us to tap into a different kind of market in terms of the players that are out there, and it's been really positive. We're up to 23 confirmed signed players. We have another few that we want to announce over the next few days, and then we've still got a few bits we want to finish off. But discussions with the targets in those positions have gone really well, and we're hoping in the very near future we'll have a fully signed off squad of 32 players.
Now that we've moved to a semi-professional model, what have the coaching staff and probably the board as well found different in terms of recruiting this summer to previous seasons?
I suppose the recruitment actually for the rugby side of things is a lot easier. It's an evening rugby training offer and playing down here at the Bay on a Friday night, which everyone loves. So it's very much a model that people are used to as the wider game. So the rugby side of it's been a bit easier. Where we've had fantastic support from the board and a collection of sponsors and supporters and partners of the club is helping find these guys employment, and that's been really positive for me and something that I'm very thankful for from the club and from the board and from those individuals that have done that for the players. It's just made that quite easy. We've still got a few bits to go, as we said before, and everyone's continued support on that is very much welcomed and will be very much appreciated in putting our squad together.
Chris and Steve, obviously you two have been quite heavily involved in the recruitment side as well, more off the field as well. So how have you found that so far this summer?
I think from my point of view, obviously working with some of our wider sponsors and people around and local companies has been great, and we've had a lot of support, and that's not just been necessarily with the players coming in, but also wives, girlfriends, and those guys finding jobs, but also moving into Nottingham, a vibrant city, and being part of that. The plea, I guess, from myself and Fowkes really would be, if people have got jobs and opportunities, then get them through to us and we can put them up on the club website and try and recruit for them and hopefully pick up rugby players on the back of it.
Yeah, I think the model, we were sort of ahead of the game a little bit at Nottingham. I think we recognised the need to change when the RFU cuts came out very early on, and so that the impact of the pandemic on top of that has just probably accelerated the plans for others, but we were already on that pathway. And I think just echoing what Steve and Fowkes have said is we've been really lucky here to have such fantastic support from sponsors, businesses of Nottingham, higher education establishments. That the partnership with NTU is further flourishing, and that's, I think, a great testament to all of those involved in that, both at Nottingham but also at Trent Uni as well.
Neil, just on NTU, how much or how important is it going to be to have the strong links with NTU this season, but also the dual registered players?
I think actually our squad will be slightly bigger, our core squad this year, than it's been before. Through the help of our sponsors and the board, we've been able to make our limited budget stretch a lot further because of the new model. So we are increasing our squad by 4 players, which does take the pressure off in some respects in terms of tapping into those NTU players on a regular basis, which means that the partnership can continue to flourish and we continue to bring good students into Nottingham Trent that can help our rugby club grow as they get into their 2nd, 3rd, 4th year at university, but also give them the opportunity to develop whilst playing books rugby in years 1 and 2. And we won't be calling on those guys too early in their careers, and it'll be a much more planned and measured approach around how we work with those guys.
As Chris mentioned as well, Nottingham are quite ahead of the game in terms of moving to the new model, and they introduced the work, train, play scheme, which hopefully attracts players, and it has done so far, and hopefully will do in the coming weeks as well.
Yeah, I think three-word slogans at the minute seems to be very much in vogue. So our work, train, play model is fantastic. I think having that brand out there, and big thanks to the dairy and Nigel that helped put that together. It just gives us a platform which to advertise the club and, as Steve said, the vibrant city around and attract players in. You only have to look at our social media campaigns around the work, train, play and see the volume of people that are coming into my inbox and Steve's inbox that are interested in that programme, to see that it's got legs and hopefully something that's going to last a a good period of time and hopefully put us in a great position for the years to come.
Chris and Steve, one for you. What is your view on the proposals to scrap promotion and relegation to the Premiership, and do you think this would ever happen at Championship level?
I'll go first. You can correct me, Steve, when I get these bits wrong. I think it's always going to be on the table. I think you've got probably a widening gap between the average team in the Championship and one in the Premiership, and the funding cuts just further exacerbates that. I think the dream always needs to be there for me at any level of sport. Wherever you are, you need to be able to dream big, and that shouldn't have a ceiling in my mind. But I think we need to be realists, and we need to understand that if the opportunity to get promotion for any club from Championship to Premiership is still there, it needs to be earned. And the last thing you want is clubs jumping up and down every season, because that's in no interest to either the clubs coming up or the clubs coming down. So I think ring fencing is still on the table, and if you read the local media, it's still very real. I think certainly from a Championship club perspective, we'd be I think supportive of maintaining some form of promotion, and if that was taken away from us, we'd want to make sure that it was worthwhile and that it wasn't there for forever in the future, that we had the opportunity still to go up.
I think for me there just needs to be a vibrant Championship and a vibrant Premiership that working hand in hand for an ultimate goal of creating the best England team in the world. In my view, when that happens, money comes into the game, whether that's through sponsors, other people involved in the Premiership, in the Championship, and I think that just needs to be part and parcel of everything that we're aiming to do within the English game. Realistically, there's some great opportunities to change what we currently do, in my view, and that's all within the report that's been driven through Ed Griffiths as part of the Championship and being reviewed with key partners and stakeholders now.
Neil, one for you. Departures so far from last season: Shane O'Leary, Jack Spittle and Tom Hill have already been announced. Where do we stand with other departures, if any?
Yeah, look, there's always going to be departures moving into this new model. I think it's only fair that once we've got our squad settled and once those other opportunities for those people that are moving on have been confirmed and have got to that point where we can announce them, we do. But that's not right now. That will be in the next couple of weeks in the future when we're at that position to make sure we can confirm our squad and confirm those departures.
Chris, a couple of supporters have asked, what changes will there be when I come to a match at Lady Bay?
Well, right now, I wish I could tell you exactly what it will be. I think we're still beholden somewhat to government restrictions and what it's likely to look like. And I think if you'd asked me that question last week, it would probably be a different answer to this week. Right now, we're planning for a return to action here, whether that be through an event or through professional rugby. Hopefully, sometime in the not too distant future, and certainly we're hopeful of getting something back in the autumn period. What it will look like then, I think from a point of view of the development of the facilities, we're still work in progress, and we really separate that conversation out from the running of the club. In terms of safety and social distancing and the whatnot, I think only time will tell. I mean, we don't expect to return to the Bay with no fans. I think that's probably fairly common knowledge for most people. We're certainly hopeful that we don't return to the Bay with no fans, and we'd love to think we'd get 5,000 people in here, but I can't remember where that's ever happened, so probably somewhere in between. And the reality is, I think with our planning, we could probably accommodate most fans in here in a socially distanced and safe way, and we've got to make that work.
Neil, given the changing nature to the Championship, A, what can we expect from other teams, and B, how competitive do you think Nottingham will be this season?
Look, I think the leagues will see a split. There's going to be teams that will have the resources to stay full-time, and obviously with Saracens coming down as well. So I think there'll be a split of around 5 or 6 teams that are at that level, and then there'll be another 5 or 6 teams at a semi-professional level. Our job is to be as competitive as we can be, and it always has been. And we have a really good season, and we stay very lucky with injuries, and we can push for 5th. In other seasons when we get hit hard by injuries, or we end up playing a lot of games in January and February, we can end up in 7th, 8th. But our goal will always be to be the most competitive we can be. really test ourselves and challenge ourselves to beat those teams in and around us in the same boat, and also cause some real scares down here at Lady Bay that we've all seen in the past. And teams coming here on a Friday night really don't want to play that Nottingham side, and that's something we're keen to keep going and keep driving. And it'd be great once we can, and as Chris said, to get the fans back in here on a Friday night and keep that ball rolling, because that's something that's really close to my heart, that we do well here on a Friday night at home.
Steve, one supporter has asked, is a radical change to the structure of the league needed now due to the RFE funding cuts?
I think, going back to what Chris said, everything should be on the table, and we should be looking at what opportunities there are for the game in the longer term. For me, one of the things I firmly believe is that there's too many teams from a sort of same geographical area. The north of England, having a couple of teams within the Championship may be a great thing in the future. The reality is, I think everybody should be looking at all of that all of the time, and we probably maybe haven't done enough of that over the last maybe 10 years to help and support grow the game. Hopefully that will be reviewed over the next 3-6 months, and something might change. I'd certainly be an advocate for certainly looking at that and looking at what can be done to improve the game across the country.
And finally, and we'll come to all three of you in the end, but Neil first. Obviously Saracens will be at the Bay next season. Have you already got a sneaky plan up your sleeve for that one?
I'm not sure we've got a sneaky plan, but the sprinklers might have been on for 48 hours before the game, and hopefully it'll be in January when it's hammering down with rain. No, in all seriousness, look, challenging yourselves against those sorts of sides are fantastic, and I can remember in the past playing against Northampton, playing against Harlequins as they've come down into the Championship, and then being loaded with international players from all over the globe, just like Saracens. It's a great opportunity for us to show exactly what we can do at the Bay down here, and again the lads want to test themselves at that level. Speaking to Carl Kerwin, who we just brought to the club, one of the new signings, he's relishing that challenge and really can't wait to get out there and play that, and I know that's a thought echoed by all the players. And how good is it for the fans to come down to Lady Bay, and hopefully we'll be in a position where we can have this place full and have a great Friday night and see what we're all about.
Steve, Chris, what does it mean to the club to have them down at the Bay?
I think, from a commercial point of view, as a sponsor, as a fan, it's a great opportunity to come down and be part of something really quite special, really big. The likes of Bristol have been down here in the past, and Newcastle, and I think that Saracens will just be another step up from that. And then, from a commercial point of view of the club, obviously those bigger games bring more people in, raise the profile of the club, and hopefully that just has a knock-on impact in terms of, obviously people coming through the gate, but also their spend when they're down here, which helps the club survive and grow and develop.
I think Fowkes will be hoping for a mid-January game leveller in terms of the weather. Steve and I will be hoping for mid-June final game of the season next year with no government restrictions. 3,500 people in here drinking lots and having a good time and watching us edge the game by a point.
Cool.